What's up, YouTube? We're a couple of cunts, we're in the countryside, we're talking about the British government. So the local and European elections are imminent, so it seemed like a good time for us to talk about the state of the government. Are you going to vote this time?
I will be entirely honest with you, I didn't vote last time, and I haven't done any research whatsoever at this point now. I may vote, I don't know who for. Have you considered who you're voting for?
Yes, probably the Liberal Democrats, because they're the least of all the shit.
That is the problem these days. There's no real good people anymore, just you're going for the one who's least shit.
Yeah, pretty much.
One of the main things I will look at when voting for someone is some of the balmy stuff they've said. And like, if I was living in America, one of the main reasons I could never vote Republican is because of some of the stuff the candidates will say with regards to scientific knowledge. There's some utterly awful things, like, I'm sorry, I can't vote for you if you think the Earth is only 6,000 years old. I can't vote for you if you believe in the fact that there's, a woman's body can shut down if she's legitimately raped or something like that, or these weird things that come out of. I can't believe in you if you have these really massive gaps in scientific knowledge. If you're still one of these people that's almost believing the sun goes around the earth. There's some really ridiculous things which get through. Okay, you're entitled to your beliefs, but at the end of the day, fine, you might fix the economy quicker than the other person, but I'm not going to be wanting to vote for somebody who is, still dealing with some really wacky beliefs, and you're probably going to be more likely to start World War III if you do.
Well, it's like in the hilarious documentary Religulous, Bill Maher goes and interviews, it's either a senator or a congressman, and in my ignorance I don't really know what the difference is, but he's basically saying how he doesn't feel comfortable with someone sitting on the Senate who believes that the Earth was created in 7 days and all this sort of thing, and the guy just turns around and goes, well, you don't have to pass an IQ test to be on the Senate.
Yeah,
and that just kind of sums it up, doesn't it? The coalition have taken a lot of shit, and a lot of people have criticised them a lot, but I mean, when you compare what the coalition has done to what happened when Labour were in power, I mean, I don't really see...
Well,
I mean, we are more or less out of the recession now, and I don't know whether that's due to something that the coalition have done, or whether it's just, the economy naturally recovering over a period of years.
I mean, I'm not an economist, however, from dealing at work, I still work for a company that deals with people in debt, and still have an eye on the statistics every now and then. Just because we are now making money again as a country, albeit slowly, doesn't necessarily mean everything's okay, because we are still in a fuckload of national debt. But because you're then lending to other people who are doing the same thing and you're all interdependent on one another, the madness just keeps going on until at some point then suddenly somebody goes, oh, I need to cash this check, and nobody's got any money, and everything gets very, very complicated, all goes a bit shitty, and you have to invade some countries to take their natural resources. Iraq.
I don't want to sound dumb, but where is all this money coming from? The Iron Bank of Bravos? I mean,
Last year, maybe the year before, Apple actually had more reserves from the US government, but they could just go to straight away. I'm not talking about, buildings, bonds, stuff like that. If they went to the bank and took out every cent they could lay their hands on physically at that point in time, they had more than the US government at one point, I think last year, which it scares you, but it happens.
I think given the number of UKIP stickers that I've seen around town, you really should vote, because...
Yeah, we need to keep them out. I was staying in Beeston the other day, and they were offering out leaflets. I think they took one look at me and decided I wasn't going to vote for them because I'm not over 40 and racist. Did you see in the week the BNP told the UKIP off for being racist? No word of a lie.
That's literally the pot calling the kettle not black, yep. Isn't it?
There was a story a few years back when I think it was North Korea was getting argy with South Korea again, and Iran turned around and said, guys, can you calm down a bit? Which is kind of the same situation. You know stuff's got bad when that happens. UKIP, one of those, they're almost comedically bad parties now.
They would be comedically bad if they weren't a legitimate threat to get into government. But I think people are so disillusioned with the main three parties now that they're actually looking at UKIP as like a genuine alternative. And it's like, have you seen Nigel Farage? You really don't want this man in power.
I mean, to be fair, the last time there was an election, there was this big worry with the BNP, are they going to get in? And they lost left, right and centre. They got basically nothing at the end of it. Or
UKIP is like the slightly less ridiculous BNP.
BNP light.
Like, but BNP are that ridiculous xenophobic hick with like a vest that only goes up to there, waving his shotgun around in the air, screaming "Get off my property!" Whereas UKIP are the sort of, they're sitting in their rocking chair, the shotgun's just propped up behind them, and they're just sort of watching you go past, just go.
At the end of the day, there's not a really huge amount of difference. I reckon if I gave you, say, 10 things that had been said by each party, or a constituent thereof, didn't tell you which one it was, and you had to try and guess which one was which, I reckon it would probably be quite difficult if you had a blindfold test trying to work out which one was more nutty in some cases.
Do you think you could find 10 different quotes? Wouldn't they all be variations of "Get rid of damn foreigners"?
This is very true. You're basically all vomit, you're just different shades of it.
I think that's great. Jeremy Paxman would be proud.
I do get pissed off when people talking politicians and stuff. Very, oh hi, yeah, how's it going? Oh, I really like this, and he's just like, no, it's bullshit. You can't say you're going to, give 6,000 nurses a pay rise when you've got no money in the treasury. What are you going to do to do that? Well, we're going to qualitatively ease this, and no, where's the money coming from? That's just watching him make people squirm.
He will fucking hammer at them and hammer at them. It's brilliant. Like, they'll be trying to squirm out of it, giving it the whole, the political bullshit, the spiel, and he'll just be like, no, you're talking out of your arse. Tell us what the facts are. Tell us how it is.
I remember a particularly uncomfortable one I was watching, this was years ago, was Colin Powell. I think it was either just before, during, or just after the invasion of Iraq. He was asking, really, what is the point of this? Why are we doing this? And he's like, well, you're going to get a stronger, safer, more secure Iraq. It was like, but why should we care if Iraq is more secure? Yes, it's nice for them, but why, as a British taxpayer, should I be funding this? It's like, well, you have to see the bigger picture here. It starts going off, and he's just like absolutely slapping this guy about the place. You just see him getting more and more into his chair, like, I hate my life.
There's no one like Paxo. There isn't someone to step into that. I mean, unless Jeremy Kyle decides he wants to stop talking to inbred retards and start actually talking to inbred retards in power, then I think
that would be very different. I don't think I could take him seriously interviewing politicians like that, especially. And I've only seen very small bits of Jeremy Kyle, but I know for a fact whenever he needs to make a point, he goes and sits on his little steps in the studio. It's like, can you imagine that? He's talking to George Bush or something down the line when he's being indicted for crimes against humanity and stuff. It's like, were you aware you killed that many Iraqis? Well. He's just like, no, George. Then sits down next to him.
Sit on the naughty step.
You killed 10 million Iraqis. Are you aware of this? We've got the DNA results to prove it.
With it being close to the elections, we're getting a lot of the literature through the door now, which is kind of annoying, to be honest. As if getting a UKIP leaflet wasn't bad enough, we ended up getting 2 Conservative leaflets. So just had fucking 2 of David Cameron's smug ass face fucking come through the door, which was not fun. And also, I've bought a little something to show you guys. Actually, we got this. This is like our local sort of independent guy, Chris Payne, East Midlands MEP candidate, more of the independents from Europe bollocks, but they couldn't even be fucked to spell check their flyer. Everyone wants UK independence now.
One of them was calling for better public services, forgot the L, better pubic services. It's just like one of those words you really don't want to fuck up on. I love the bits in other parts of the world, and particularly South America, when there's sort of that strong man who used to be in the military wearing his fatigues. He's probably got a beret on, and he's there in the background. He's probably got an AK, and he's telling you why you should vote for him. Stuff like that amuses me.
To be fair, you're never going to get a more badass leader than like Teddy Roosevelt.
He was pretty badass. I think he's a dickhead, but he's kind of a modern day equivalent. Putin is a bit that way, because he loves to have photos of him just fighting sharks or whatever he's been doing recently, just out in the wilderness, racing bears.
Look, to be fair, right, Vladimir Putin, I mean, he's a very sensitive subject right now, and he's obviously done a lot recently, which is really quite cuntish, and still has the potential to, throw us all into a horrible nuclear holocaust. But yeah, he is kind of a badass. He's like the Russian Bear Grylls, who also happens to run a country. You can complain about the government all you want, and yeah, they do shaft a lot of people, but at the end of the day, we don't get massive human rights violations in this country.
No, we just go to other countries and do that for them.
Yeah, you get my point. What I'm saying is, you look at someone like Gaddafi or Idi Amin or any of those guys throughout history who have been proper cunts to their people. I mean, yes, the government may stiff you on pensions, they may fuck over the unemployed, or they may want to ship all the blacks out of the country, but which obviously is a terrible thing, but what I'm saying is you're not going to get anything quite that extreme. So in a way, like, it is a bit churlish to whine about the political state of our country when we're not having to deal with that, like, utter shit storm.
No, but at the same time, I would counter that just because we've not got it as bad as somewhere else doesn't mean you can't whinge about it.
Oh no, I'm not saying
No,
that.
no,
I mean,
I
everyone's.
know you weren't, but I'm just saying, like, certain things like people will bring up. It's just like, oh well, at least it's not as bad as they are here. Let's let the government do this. But it's like, but as soon as we start accepting that we're not as bad as everywhere else, is the minute things start getting repealed, laws start getting passed, taking away our freedoms and stuff. Like, no, you have to fight for it.
You've still got to have standards, absolutely, and I think everyone of a voting age should know about politics and should take an interest in politics, because I think if you don't vote, I mean if you abstain from voting, you don't really have a right to complain, because if you're bitching about the state of your country, then fucking go out there and make a difference. Well, we've been a couple of cunts in the countryside. If you enjoyed this political episode, please like, favourite, share and subscribe. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter, and if you didn't enjoy it, you're probably going to vote for UKIP, so why don't you go play with the traffic. Feel free to suggest a topic for us to talk about in a future episode, and we'll see you next time.
And remember, just because you got freedom of speech doesn't necessarily mean you should say anything. However, we're awesome, so fuck you.